Shed with me, Trevor. You're very welcome along. It's a Monday night. I'm going to do my show tonight instead of Thursday, probably because I have an awful lot of stuff going on this week here at home. So between tonight's show and I'll have my usual Tuesday night show with Therese tomorrow. Um, that'll be probably it for this week. But I said I couldn't let it go because the season is coming fast without doing a second one. So even though it's my first one tonight, it'll be the second show for the week. I hope you're all keeping well. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. You're very welcome along. It was an interesting weekend. The football is back. There's a few things I'm going to talk about. My takes from certain little things over the weekend. The Giants played the Bills in Highmark. I will talk a little bit about that. And the main thing I'm going to do tonight for me is talk about the teams I think will finish second in their respective divisions in the NFL for this season. That's not saying they won't make the playoffs or they won't have a Super Bowl run or anything like that. It's just my thoughts. So before I start, I'll go through with who I think will finish third and fourth in each of the division, and then we'll look at who is going to finish second. So we'll start with the AFC West. So in the AFC West, I have Las Vegas Raiders fourth, Los Angeles Chargers third. In the AFC South, I have the Indianapolis Colts fourth, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars third. In the AFC North, I have the Cleveland Browns fourth, the Pittsburgh Steelers third. And the AFC East, I have the New York Giants fourth and the Miami Dolphins third. In the NFC West, I have the Arizona Cardinals fourth, the Seattle Seahawks third. In the AFC South, or NFC South, excuse me, I have the New Orleans Saints fourth, the Carolina Panthers third. In the NFC North, I have the Chicago Bears fourth, the Minnesota Vikings third. And in the NFC East, I have the New York Giants fourth and the Dallas Cowboys third. With the news that is happening and what I've seen this weekend, if I was to start again, would I twist or tweak any of them? Maybe. But it is preseason. As I will take one example. The Chicago Bears came into Buffalo last year, Caleb Williams, rookie season, and they tore us apart in a preseason game. Chicago Bears finished bottom of their group division and were awful, and Caleb Williams was also awful, and the Buffalo Bills was robbed in the AFC Championship game. Say no more. So you can read a bit into the preseason games, all right, and we will be taking a few bits and pieces out of it, but it's not really a reflection of how the season will go for each of these teams. I'm basing it on what I think will happen during the season. There will be improvements and there will be teams falling a bit, but we will see how it goes. So I'm going to start tonight in the AFC West. So I have Las Vegas Raiders fourth, Los Angeles Chargers third. That leaves the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos. A lot of people are tipping Denver to win the AFC West this year. They had a brilliant season last year. They pushed us very hard in the wildcard game at Highmark back in January. But I still think the Chiefs will be the team to win that division. So I'm going to put the Denver Broncos second. They've always said to be the best, you have to beat the best. Right now in the AFC, whether we agree, disagree, want it or don't want it, the Kansas City Chiefs are the best in the AFC. So the Denver Broncos will have to prove, as well as the Los Angeles Chargers, that they're ready to make a statement and take them out. Bo Nix and Sean Payton. Sean Payton has put an awful lot of trust in Bo Nix. They clicked last year. Now it'll be interesting to see this year, will Bo Nix hit a second season slump like CJ Stroud did last year, or will he continue on? If he continues on, they will push the Chiefs all the way. But for now, I just think the Chiefs and Mahomes and them are just slightly ahead. So I'm going to put the Denver Broncos second. The Broncos have an amazing defense. They have a team that's upcoming. They will be a team that will probably be the ones in the AFC West to knock the Chiefs off their mantle in the next year or two. It may happen this year. Right now, I just don't see it happening. So I have them finishing second. In the AFC South, I had the Indianapolis Colts fourth, the Jacksonville Jaguars third. I have the Tennessee Titans up to second. This is a division where any of the four teams can win it, and any of the four teams can finish last. But right now, I'm giving Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans the chance to come second in the division, only because in the Indianapolis Colts, they have a good roster, don't get me wrong, but their quarterbacks are questionable. And there at the weekend, Anthony Richardson, first game back, got milled by the Ravens. It was a clean run and hurt himself. And we don't know how long he's going to be out for. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they looked okayish at the weekend. There was a 70-yard field goal kicked, but it won't stand because it wasn't a regular season game or a playoff game. But it was amazing to see it. And they will improve. But I just think there's a bit of pressure on Cam Ward to lift the Titans. They're, they have been the whipping boys the last few seasons in that division. Brian Callahan is, I think it's his second year. Yeah, it's his second year. So as head coach, so he will want to say, I want to see this team improving. And I think they can improve, but second is as good as I can see it. But don't get me wrong, that's a division that's up in there, because for the Houston Texans, CJ Stroud was going to have his rookie year, not last year's year, or else, any of the four teams can take that division. In the AFC North, I had the Cleveland Browns fourth, the Pittsburgh Steelers third, and I have the Cincinnati Bengals second. Now, some of these picks are going to sound very boring, but there's method behind my madness. The Cincinnati Bengals offense with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow and co. are awesome. The Cincinnati Bengals defense, even at the weekend, looked absolutely as good as the last couple of years, awful. And there will be a lot of games where it'll be 41-39 or something like that, either way for them. But their defense has to come out and show. I have, in my opinion, and don't see that changing, because I think Joe Burrow is absolutely out of this world as a quarterback goes, and he has weapons. But if they don't give him a defense, then he can be banging against the wall all he wants, and someday he'll run into a wall. And for me, the Ravens have a defense and have an offense in Lamar Jackson, and I just think they're ahead of the Cincinnati Bengals. Am I confident the Cincinnati Bengals will even finish second in this division? I thought their defense would improve a bit. Now I know it's preseason, and if their defense doesn't improve, then I wouldn't be too confident. But if their defense does, then with that offense, I am confident they'll finish second. We move on to the AFC East. So I had the New York Jets fourth, the Miami third. No surprise, the New England Patriots are second. The reason I have them second is I think Mike Vrabel will bring the best out of them. Drake May is going into a second year again. There'll be questions whether he'll kick on or slump. But they've got the Brian Stephon Diggs, Matt Collins. I'm not a Stephon Diggs fan, as in personality-wise, but the man can play football if he gets his head right. Matt Collins last year was brilliant for us. I thought I was awful good. I was gutted that he left. Worse, he left and went to the Patriots, but he left. And I know it was down to a contract, and the Bills could only give him so much, and the Patriots offered him more because they had a bigger cap space. And he's gone, but he will help them. And I Dolphins in this division. And if I was to make a tweak, I'd put the Dolphins last and the Jets third. But I'm going to stick with my gut now at the minute, and I'm going to leave it Jets 4, Dolphins third, Patriots second. Close to us, I don't know. I think they'll improve. I don't know whether they'll make the playoffs or not, but Vrabel has proven it before, and Vrabel will improve this New England Patriots. We have to stay ahead of them. That's the most important thing. So for me, I'm going New England Patriots second in the AFC East. Now we jump to the NFC. So in the NFC, we'll go to the West first. We have the Arizona Cardinals. I have fourth, Seattle Seahawks third, and I'm going to put the San Francisco 49ers second. Now, again, this is a division where, to be honest, any of the four teams could make a charge, and any of the four teams could finish bottom. The 49ers were at Super Bowl 2 years ago. McCaffrey got injured last year. If he comes back and he's the Christian McCaffrey of 2 years ago, then this 49ers team with Kittle and with Purdy and with Ayuk can kick on, right? But if he isn't himself, because he brings a total different dimension to that 49ers offense. The 49ers have a brilliant defense, don't get me wrong, but that offense, when he's clicking, he can make runs and be throwing the ball and catch it. He can run rings around people. If he's that Christian McCaffrey, who for me was the best player 2 years ago in the league, outside the quarterbacks, then he will bring that team to the playoffs and who knows in the NFC. But if he's not that Christian McCaffrey and he hasn't recovered right, then the San Francisco 49ers, they'll do okay, but I don't know will they make a push. In the NFC South, I had the New Orleans Saints finishing fourth. I had the Carolina Panthers finishing third. I have the Atlanta Falcons finishing second. Big pressure on Michael Penix Jr. He has a lot of weapons there. John Robinson will be looking to have a huge season this year. You have Pitts and London tight end, and they'll have to prove themselves. I just think Baker Mayfield, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are ahead of them. Last year was the year, I think, was the year to catch the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I think they'll finish. And will they get to a playoff? Time will tell. I don't know. I said I'm not predicting playoff positions right now, just where they'll finish in their group. They have Kirk Cousins still on their roster. I was listening to one of the American channels today, and by the sounds of it, Kirk Cousins is going to play as a backup quarterback to Michael Penix Jr. And it'll be interesting to see if he gives everything or if he decides to throw the toys out of the pram and just be there for the sake of being there. He's getting paid an awful lot of money. He does want to move and he does want to play football. But at the end of the day, he signed the contract and he's going to have to either win his place over or stay there until the Falcons say, right, we don't want you, or we're going to keep you here as a backup. And when we want you, you're going to play. So I have them finishing second. In the NFC North, now this division for me is one of the hardest to call. The Bears are fourth, and I'm not changing. I don't believe in Caleb Williams. He didn't show it last year. He didn't even play in the preseason game earlier in the week. Now, I know other number one quarterbacks didn't play either, but if you're Caleb Williams and you had the season you had last year, you want to be out playing every game you can to try and improve and get rhythm and a whole lot. And he didn't play yesterday. Now, neither did his offensive line, but again, that was down to their coaching, and they decided to leave them off. So we will see. But other than that, I have the Minnesota Vikings third. Minnesota Vikings could win this division, but I just think the Packers and the Lions are ahead of them right now. If JJ McCarthy clicks, and the signs from yesterday were showing that there is promise there, if he can deliver on it, then they could have a very good season. I have the Green Bay Packers second. And the reason I don't have them first is I think the Lions were way ahead of that in that division last year. I know the Vikings went down to the last game and Sam Darnold and Jared Goff had a battle and Jared Goff won. But the Packers will improve. I think they'll get into the playoffs. They'll be one of them teams to get into the playoffs. But Jordan Love, he has to prove himself. He has to stay fit first. And if he can stay fit, then he has Josh Jacobs behind him as a running back that'll take an awful lot of pressure off him. And he's one of the best running backs in the league. And they have weapons out. They brought in a rookie this year, wide receiver, and they have Watson there from before as well. If he comes back and get fully fit, they have weapons they can throw to. They have a good defense besides that, and there is a chance that, like a lot of people are saying, they're sneaky Super Bowl, to get to the Super Bowl, one of the sneaky teams. But to me, and I don't think right now, in my eyes, they're not better than the Detroit Lions. So that's why I have them second. And the NFC East, I have the New York Giants finishing fourth. I have the Dallas Cowboys finishing third. And surprise, surprise, but no, I've watched. Um, the noise out of the NFC East is the Dallas Cowboys, to me, a mess. The Micah Parsons contract thing is, for me, all wrong. And I've said my piece in it, so I'll say no more, but it's a mess. The Washington Commanders were the surprise team of last year. And to be fair, I didn't tip them last year. Dan Quinn, I had Jaden Daniels. I did not think they'd even get within an ass's roar of finishing uh, the NFC Championship game, but they did, and they played brilliant. And Terry McLaurin is out on strike at the minute. Well, he's there, but he's on strike, so he doesn't get fined, and there's no contract deal, and he wants a trade, and um, that's where systems and franchises have to look at. This guy was awesome last year. If we would meet him halfway and give him a sweetener to play this season, and if he does deliver on so much, we'll give him his contract or something, or make some deal with him. But to have them sitting there not playing, and the season coming, even if he start putting on his pads tomorrow, which I doubt, or next week, he's behind the rest of them. As fit as he is, he's behind. And for me, uh, that would, in one sense, say, well, maybe the Commanders won't even finish second in the division. But the only reason I think they definitely will is because the Dallas Cowboys are a mess. And the New York Giants, which I'll be talking a bit about in a few minutes, they are improving. But again, as it's from preseason, but hopefully they will. And but I don't think they're going to go up. If they get a good run of games and win 6, 7 games this year, then they'll build on for next year. But right now, the Washington Commanders for me are second in the NFC East. So they are my teams. I will do a video for who I think will finish first and my reasons why next week, please God. So I'm just going to run through who are second again in the divisions. AFC West, Denver Broncos. AFC South, Tennessee Titans. AFC North, Cincinnati Bengals. AFC East, New England Patriots. NFC West, San Francisco 49ers. NFC South, Atlanta Falcons. NFC North, Green Bay Packers. And NFC East, Washington Commanders. Let me know what you think. If you agree, good and well. And if you don't agree, tell me why. But this is just my opinion. So now, we're going to go and talk about the Bills and the Giants at the weekend. It was a preseason game. I'll be honest, I was working. So when I got home from work, and by the time I did dinner and stuff, it was the second half was starting. So I seen highlights from the first half, as in clips, but I seen the second half live. What did I take from it? I know it was a preseason game, and there were certain players I thought did well, and there were certain players that, for me, but I could be wrong, in my eyes, didn't. So the first half, Mitch Trubisky was playing. In the second half, Mike White was playing. They did change the quarterback again after that, but I think it's Schubal, or I can't pronounce his name correctly, so I'm not going to try. But he did nothing wrong. He didn't get really a chance at it. But I'm going to talk about Mike White and Mitch Trubisky because these will probably be the two this fighting for the backup space in the Buffalo Bills. So Mr. Trubisky had 9 for 13. He had 138 yards, 1 touchdown, and no interception. Mike White had 8 for 13, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Now, as I said, I've only seen clips of Mitch Trubisky playing, right? So, but Mike White, I thought he started slowly. I thought he started nervously. But when he got into his rhythm, he got that offense with missing starters, but he got that offense ticking. And he threw for 2 touchdowns, and I was impressed with Mike White. Now, I have had my question marks over Mr. Risky, but as long as he's a Buffalo Bills player, I'll support him and more than I support any of the rest of them. But if I was picking right now, that's just me, and I'm a nobody in the west of Ireland, but making a comment, I'm picking Mike White as my number 2 quarterback to Josh Allen. Because I know, as I said, Mitch looked okay and he's good numbers and all that. But when Mike White clicked, that offense clicked. And for me, I was impressed with that. Other guys I thought that impressed was Frank Gore Jr. Especially in the second half, he had 5 for 21 yards. He made a couple of good runs. He also ran into a wall a few times, but they all do that. That's part of the game. But for a guy that will be probably 4th at least on the chart of running backs in the Buffalo Bills, I thought if James Cook goes, you have Ray Davis, you have Ty Johnson. And if I had to go down to Frank Gore Jr., I wouldn't I wouldn't be disappointed. There is a running back in him. Would he ever make a number 1 running back? I don't know. But from what I seen at the weekend, and again I know it's preseason, but he tried, and I was impressed with how he tried. Then in the receiving side, Shavers, he had 2 catches for 70 yards. Frank Gore had 5 catches for 50 yards on top of that. So you have him playing out in the outfield as well as a running back, and for me that's a great thing to have. KJ Hamler, he had 1 for 39 yards, and it was a brilliant touchdown. Josh Palmer had 2 for 21 yards. Evans had 2 for 14 yards and a touchdown. Dawson Knox had 1 for 11 yards. Dawson Knox must have only played 1 play. I seen the touchdown. It was well taken. And Dalton Kincaid had 1 catch for 10 yards. Again, this must be at the start of the game because I didn't see him in the second half, but I could be wrong. And they lost the game. I came down to a snap, a missed snap that went wrong, and the Giants kicked on, and they got their touchdown and won it. It was 35-24 finished. Am I bothered? No. The Giants, they are a team that are trying out players to try and progress. If we had played our full team against their full team, I'm sure the result would have been different. They're in a different place than us, and again, it was preseason. It ain't going to bother me. But what I did take out of it is our defense, and I know a lot of it is our backup defense, needs to tighten up. One of the guys I wasn't too impressed with from what I seen Sunday night was Jamarcus Ingram. And I think there's more in the sky, but from what I seen at the weekend, I wasn't 100% satisfied with him. And it's something that I know Sean McDermott will work at, and Bobby Babbage, but we have to be tighter. Whether it's our first line or our second line, stringer defenders, they have to be tighter. They have to be tuned in. 35 points is too much to give up to a New York Giants team. So it was a preseason game. We lost. The Bears hammered us last year in Highmark, and look what happened. I wouldn't read too much into it, but just going off what I saw, I was impressed with some of the backup offense players. Some of the defensive defensive players I was impressed with too. But Jamarcus Ingram has been there for a while, and it's time now he started to lead, and I just wasn't too impressed with him. So now, what did I make of the Giants? So this goes into my next piece. So my takeaways from the weekend outside the Buffalo Bills. Jackson Dart has the looks of a quarterback that will be a starter for the New York Giants, maybe after 4 or 5 weeks of the season. Time will tell. Um, he looked very impressive there at the weekend. He didn't look overwhelmed, like he was away from home. Now, I know it wasn't a full house, but it's still in Buffalo and they make a lot of noise. And he played very calmly and did a lot of things right. Another player I thought played very well over the weekend was Shadir Saunders. Now, I heard his interview afterwards, and his head seems to be screwed on. I think the stuff with the draft really, these parties and waiting to be called and all that, it's gone. I think he realizes now that if he wants to be a quarterback in the NFL, he is going to have to work. And it looks like like I heard a lot of praise on the TV today about he seems to know the playbook. He seems to know where players are. The passes he was picking were really at a high level of passing. And again, no more than Jackson Dart, he didn't panic, and he looked very good. So um, for Shedeur Saunders, I hope that this is the start of him, coming out from his father's shadow, making his own name, doing his own thing, doing it correctly, and being the player he can be. But again, it was preseason, so and people are also saying not to get carried away by it. But it was good to see the lad after all the crack. Like me watching from here, you want to see bits and bobs, but to see him actually play and the way he threw the ball, he looked like a place like a starter in the NFL a bit more. Charlie Smith, I seen kick some massive points for the New Orleans Saints. Congratulations, Charlie. I'm delighted for you, as well as a few other Irish players did well over the weekend too. And it's good to see them in the NFL, flying the flag for Ireland. It's a long, hard journey to make it from Ireland over to America, and then to make it into the NFL. But players are making their mark, and I followed Charlie's journey through Pro Football Ireland with Michael McQuaid and Mark Hogan and them over the last few years, and it's good to see Charlie out in the field now and taking his chances. So well done, Charlie. I didn't watch too many full games. I watched the second half of the Bills. I watched the start of the Vikings game, and Addison looked hot for the Vikings with JJ McCarthy. Um, I know he's going to be banned for 3 games, but when he comes to Dublin, if he's on that kind of level, himself and McCarthy and Justin Jefferson, the Steelers could have their hands full when they're playing in Croke Park. But time will tell. That's a good few weeks away yet. So anyway, folks, that's my video for tonight. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you thought of my teams that are finished second. You follow me. You can find me on Facebook on Trevor Marley. You can find me on Instagram, and my YouTube is at the Irish Bills Mafia, and the same on Spotify. I'm going to start putting them up on Spotify more often now. So if anyone wants to listen to it, it'll be there. And you'll find me on Twitter on Irish_Bills. And I love to hear from people. Let me know if they want to come on the show. Anyone that has an NFL interest is always welcome. We'll work it on. I have some interesting guests next Monday night. I'm delighted to be joined not by one of the Nickel City Mafia, but two of the Nickel City Mafia. From California, I have my good friend Mike Thornton, and from Buffalo, I have my good friend Jake Podger. We were supposed to do the show with Jake last week, but something came up, and we've now organised it that the two will be on together. So it'll be the Nickel City Mafia on the Irish Bills Mafia. So it'll be interesting, and I cannot wait. And we'll have a good old chat about the Bills and everything else football. Hopefully tomorrow night we'll have another show with Therese, and we'll talk. She was at the game at the weekend and had a tailgate party, and we'll see what the crack was from there. And if anything pops up before the weekend, I'll try and do a show on Thursday night. But I said I'm flat out here at the week from tomorrow onwards. So That's why I did the show tonight. And then it'll be next Monday night. We'll have Jake and Mike on the show. So thank you very much for watching, my friends. I hope you have had a wonderful weekend. We'll have a wonderful week. Stay safe, stay happy, and as always, go Bills.